I first heard about the Coravin while interviewing some sommeliers and beverage directors about their favorite wine stoppers, most of which are meant to be inserted into an already uncorked bottle to extend its freshness for a few days. But then there's the Coravin. As Eric Schutte, sommelier and beverage director at Schuco, explained it, this wine saver lets you get what you need out of the bottle without actually opening it. In case that sentence also blew your mind with the Coravin, you can pour a single glass of wine without actually removing the cork. It's like a magic trick that violates the tenets of physics. What it isn't is super intuitive, especially on first use. The Coravin Model 1, which I finally had a chance to test over the last 2 weeks, resembles a standard, lever-style wine opener, like the Rabbit or the Le Creuset lever, with a thin, hollow needle where the corkscrew should be. The whole thing is powered with an argon gas canister, which has to be screwed into the bottom. Once that's done, you clamp the device around the neck of the bottle, plunge the needle into the cork, and tip the bottle, Coravin and all, over a glass. Then, you press a little button which lets out an intimidating hiss, presumably from the argon, which creates a vacuum and pulls the wine up from the bottle through that hollow straw. Each time I've used the Coravin, it's taken a couple of tries to get going, with brief spurts of wine as the liquid travels up the straw, but eventually, the wine pours smoothly. Be warned, the pour doesn't stop automatically. You have to turn the bottle upright to do that, something I did not understand the first couple of times I used it. But once you've got your appropriately sized pour, however much that might be, you gingerly pull the needle out of the cork, which is left amazingly intact, except for a small pinprick through the foil. Magicking wine out of the bottle with the Coravin impressed my boyfriend, but there's a real practicality to using it, one that's even been acknowledged by those in the serious wine community, like writer Jancis Robinson. Nothing I know of preserves wine in an opened or accessed bottle for years as the Coravin system does. An open bottle of wine doesn't last much longer than a week or so, depending on what you're drinking and how you store it. After that, the wine can take on a vinegary taste or oxidize. To test whether a Coravin Ed bottle of wine would start to oxidize, I poured a glass of Beaujolais from a natural grower using the gadget on Thursday night, then left for a long weekend trip. Typically, this kind of behavior, leaving a bottle of natural wine on an unrefrigerated bar cart that's in the sun for 4 days, would leave me with a sour red that's barely good for cooking. But when I came back on Monday evening and opened the bottle with a corkscrew, the wine tasted basically as good as the first glass. I also examined the cork for any damage the Coravin had done. There was virtually none. If I looked closely, maybe that was a pinprick? But it seemed like the cork had regenerated and sealed up as soon as the Coravin pulled out. There are some practical downsides to the Coravin Model 1. The first is that the signature wine needle is tricky to clean, and I can only imagine the frustration if your initial pour of a white wine was tinged with the red wine from last week. Having said that, the Model 1 is still the least expensive device on Coravin's roster, and, as such, it's more approachable for a casual wine drinker. Just look at the cheerful, neon colorway they recently released with Neiman Marcus. And though the Model 1 isn't something every wine drinker needs, there are some drinkers for whom the Coravin would be a great gift, like my dad, who has more wine in his cellar than he can reasonably drink on his own, yet hesitates to open a new bottle for fear of letting it go bad before he can finish it. My mom, who's down for the count after a single glass, would also enjoy this gadget. It'd be a great gift for someone who just bought their first wine atlas and is trying to taste and learn about wine on their own, or a friend who has a single glass of red with dinner one night and then likes to switch to white the next. Thank you for watching.